We are live. So, welcome to the Kinetic PE Mix Show. We have a special guest that is in a virtual building with us today. Do not go anywhere. We got to run this intro. We'll be right back. Okay, we got it here. All right. So the intro was very brief. Intro theme song was very brief. We got a lag today. It looks like there's rain at the time of this recording where I'm at here in Wisconsin, and so we got the Brazilian singer, that is definitely doing great things in the pop, electro, and Afro Brazilian world, and the music is highly reflective of the type of person she is. I got a chance to know her on the other side. Very, very great person. And she had a chance to have her own transformation in life. Where she has come from a background where she arrived here not really knowing much English, but she was able to find her way and arrive to where she is right now at this point of her career in life. So we welcome Soy Rah.
Hi, everybody. So excited to be here. This is actually my very first interview live in my life. And I felt like I got to a point where I feel more confident to share more of myself and of my struggles to everyone. As I believe so much in the power of like we sharing to others things um, that happens, in real life, and that way other people can resonate to and realize they're not alone because we all go through the same things, and yeah, and we're all here to support each other and learn with each other. So
I love that. That's very beautiful. Hearing that from you, for someone who's like really working very hard, you reaching to to the point where you're gonna have like a hundred songs by the end of the year, and it takes someone who really had a lot of insight and had gone through things. You mentioned on the other side that having to struggle with the language barrier, but also in school with ADHD. Have that really inspire you to be who you are now, and really help you and really understanding where you best fit in this life right now.
yeah, that's a great question. So in school, as I said, it was a big challenge for me not being able to pay attention to the things the teacher would say in class. And even like coming home, my mom would go to school. She was a teacher, and I would stay home and I would have to figure out exercise homework all by myself. And it was always a pain because there were things that in my head I was just like, why do I need this? Why do I need this? And I just couldn't find, meaning in a lot of the things that I was learning. I felt like I was just poisoning my head with sometimes information that I would not really need. But maybe because the school system where I grew up was really poor, and in
Yeah.
fact, there was a lot of things that even nowadays I'm like I still don't see any of that things or any of those things. So most of the times I would spend time like singing at home. I would just like pretend I was a singer and just like dream and envision myself where I wanted to be and like
Yeah.
play my favorite songs and just like have that fun with myself. And also like dreaming and imagining, like my imagination was is to me my biggest how do I say support to go through life, because I don't know if you watched that movie Little Princess. It's a movie I can relate to a lot. Like she lives in this like in this mansion, and then all of a sudden she has to stay in this like little room where she has no food, nothing, and then she starts to imagine her own world, and then all of a sudden it becomes a reality. So I'm not saying that everything you dream to will become a reality, but there are higher chances that what you imagine will become a reality than if you don't imagine, and if you just take life outside as what it is, which is it's not all that it is. But answering your question about HDADD, I don't think it was a curse. I think maybe it was a blessing because I realized that I didn't end up poisoning my mind too much with a lot of things, a lot of like excessive knowledge. I believe in the power of wisdom,
Mhm.
intelligence, or the knowledge. That's what I'm an advocate of. You know, a lot of people are very knowledgeable, but they're not wise, they're not intelligent. They just like accumulate information, they just memorize a lot of things, but when they have to do, or when they have to think on their own, they lack on that. So I think the new reality that we are right now, people are awakening more and understanding that they
Mhm.
have like a source of where they can find wisdom, intelligence, and then create their own thing from it, as opposed to just like copying and paste everything that the system has taught us through lifetimes.
That's very powerful, and what really like touches me the most is the fact that like you offer a lot of inspiration in there, a lot of wisdom and a lot of advice, a lot of nuggets we can take, and if we drop them in the water, they'll turn into platinum. So
That
and
was a good one.
what sticks out to me is the fact that like although you were having these things like you found a way to you know you'll retreat to your room, you'll be singing, and you can see yourself becoming this singer, and like when we as kids we never never think that like, hey, one day I'm really going to be actually doing it, but you held on to that thought all the way up to adulthood, and this is where you are now. I find that very impressive. uh,
Thank you.
and and so my question is like, a lot of people have like different influences, especially in the music career, that comes from the outside, and so like, who were you listening to when you were growing up? Was there a particular artist that like kind of like, yeah, hey, yeah, I really like that. I really like to kind of be a rendition of that artist.
Oh. Well, because I grew up in Brazil, I listened to a lot of Brazilian singers that you probably don't know, but like Sandy and Junior, Saulo Fernandes. And one thing I noticed about these artists, what they had in common that I loved the most was just like how they express love in such a beautiful way in their lyrics, you know, and those words usually used to really comfort my heart, and I really used to found that connection to the divine through their music. While my mom was going to church and like telling me to read the Bible and like believe in God and everything, which things that I didn't even understand. I had that connection unconsciously through music, through like, you know,
Right.
achieving like different states of mind and consciousness that kind of music would put me through, and that was like a way for me to also release the pain that I was like dealing with, like struggle, like the struggles I had with like bullying in school, and also like the abuse, like and things that I had, you know, in my home, with my mom, like conflicting relationships, she and my daddy,
Mhm.
which is like all the time. So music really like would put me in that space that would take me to like different places in my imagination where I would find comfort and just feel like I could come back to earth. But besides that, Avril Lavigne, Linkin Park,
Mhm. Oh
Avril
yeah.
Lavigne is a big one for me. Britney Spears, Shakira. Like I would move with Shakira sometimes at home. Like
Oh,
Shakira.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you name a lot of the people that's in my playlist. Believe it or
Yeah.
not. So like, yeah, I got a lot of those in my playlist.
Are
So
we from the same birth year? What birth year are you? 92?
no, I'm 86 actually. So I'm
Oh my
86.
goodness. You don't look like. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I get that a lot. I get that a lot. So,
that's
yeah,
good.
yeah, and but yeah, but you're still very close to the era. That's the era of good music, and when you mention like just love music, music that express love, like they're talking about like how one can treat another, or just that whole expression of love, that's really something that's like really missing now. I really feel like it's really missing now, and it is a good way to help you cope through like the rough times. I think even right now with like everything that's happening in America, happen outside of America, we need a lot of that type of music. A lot of the music that you produce is great too. And you got a lot of music that really makes you move. So
Yeah, I like moving. You know, Brazilians like to shake their ass.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's one of the places I gotta visit. I gotta visit Brazil one day.
Yeah,
So
come.
yeah, yeah, indeed. Now, in terms of like people wanted to get a chance to know you as an artist, and and they had to pick out one song or two songs. Like, is a particular one that you would send them to?
Well, one of my favorite ones is called Are Your Body.
Hmm.
And it's like a mix of Latin and pop. And the reason why I love this song so much is because I struggle with my body. Like since I was a teenager, I didn't like, the size of my boobs. I didn't like the size of my legs, how like everything was twisted and a lot of things. And like it took me a while to finally like the way I am right now without having to like constantly be in my head like, oh my gosh, look at that girl's legs, it's perfect, and look at mine, because like I had to go through that a lot. And to me it's like a thing I overcame, like a breakthrough, the facts that nowadays I can pass by a perfect blonde girl with like the perfect size, boob size and everything, and not have to look at her and feel bad about myself, because I struggle with that a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you, like comparison, looking at Instagram,
Yeah.
looking at those pictures and like, oh, just making me feel horrible. Nowadays,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So Are Your Body is about like, praising the body of this girl and how pretty she is just the way she is. And it kind of like
Yeah.
makes like, like I listen to it and I'm like, yes, girl, love yourself.
Indeed.
That kind of.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, that's empowering. Yeah, that's real empowering. I think a lot of women need that. Men need that too. Believe it or not, that's it's a matter of man that got insecurities about body. I think that's a real good song to go to. I'm gonna go to it right away.
Yeah,
Um, it,
please.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The issue with like body positivity, many people like are really having a hard time, like accepting, just being who they are, whether it be a body part or not, rather it be like, just dealing with things that and then they behave in a way that they make, maybe people say think it's awkward, but it's not. Everybody's unique, and everybody should love themselves, and that's a real good message to put out there. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, guys do struggle a lot with that too, but I don't know why women seems like tend to struggle with that more than
Yeah, they do.
men.
Hmm.
Maybe because girls has so many characteristics of things, like the hair, the shape of this, the shape of that. Man, maybe it's just like a thing. Like you put clothes on, your hair is
Yeah.
tight, your beard is on point, you're good to go. But girls, it's like a whole thing. Like your nails always has to be like this always has to like like girls do the eyebrows, like this
Right.
thing here, you can make it up. So Botox, it's like it makes the society, the system we live in makes us feel
Yeah,
like we are
exactly.
never that we always need more and more. And I'm done with that, because it's like I need to understand that my music is my priority. I need to invest in things that are long lasting. And like I tend to invest more in things that feed my soul more than my body and my ego. I don't get
Yeah.
limited just like to this thing. I know I have to take care of more of that. It's like it's my temple. It's where I live. It's where I'm in. But I
Yeah.
don't like to just give it all to it, because I understand that the lifetime, that the value of eternity, of the things that I can carry with, that I believe we take, and the things that are left
Mhm.
in the flesh. So
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You definitely right. You definitely speaking the truth, and I really applaud you, and like really appreciate you, like just for like putting that out there. Um, I think you a perfect reflection of like the type of girls that like have struggled with like just being able to say like, hey, I'm beautiful, and be okay, and just let that be, and focus more on getting in the intuitive side of yourself, and and really nurturing that soul. So that's really important. Now, like let's talk about like how you utilize that body in performances. Like do like what have you done any performances, or do you expect to do any performances?
I do live performances at the moment. So there's a
Mhm.
platform called Trubify.
Okay.
It's at Soy Rah. That's my Trubify account. So I pop in there. Um, Sometimes, I also at sessions.
Mhm.
sessions.com. I also have a profile there where I do live performances. But I'm really looking forward to do in-person concerts. I just don't know when because I travel a lot. I don't have a home fixed base. I stay between LA, um, Miami, Rio de Janeiro, Salvador. I've been traveling to like through different places for the past few years. So I don't know when I'm gonna be, performing. I guess I need to become big enough to grab the attention of venues and places so they can like, oh, Sora's gonna perform here. But I believe my time will come. A lot of work to do. I mean, I'm aware of what needs to improve, and
Yeah.
it's myself and I basically on this. So at the right moment, I'm hoping to get the right support that will help me polish the brand and do a few tweaks that will help me get closer to where I want to be.
Well, you're not too far off, and like we'd love to have you here in Wisconsin. So like definitely, so like I mean, I know it's not as hot as like all the places you just named, but
Oh, you can invite me. I would go, dude. You kidding me? This girl.
yeah.
You could say, "Hey, I got you a venue. I got you the crowd. All right, flying there."
All right. So like with a little bit of time left, like you know, if there's anything that you want to like just put out there that like maybe we haven't touched on at all today, some final closing words, and what would like put out there?
Well, maybe it's something that's cliche that everybody talks about, dreams and purpose. But I think the more people talking about it, the best for everybody to hear and to be remembered. Like life to me is about doing what you like, what makes you feel alive. That's
Okay.
what has been keeping me till now. Like even when I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, in the back of my head, the motivation for me to get out of bed to like do things was like, I'm gonna get that to a point where I'm gonna start making music, or I'm gonna be able to like make my videos and put online and things like that. And I didn't know that would be possible. And I went through so much in order to be here, like internally, in order to break those walls to like, no, I can do it. I want to do it because your essence might want to do something, but then there's like the flesh that we have to kind of back the battle, between the flesh and the spirit can be so strong. And to me, the fact that I was able to overcome, after nights without sleeping, after so much pain and so much struggle internally, to be able to sit down with myself and say, I'm gonna write a song and nobody's gonna stop me. It's a blessing. It's my biggest bless. So bliss. So for everybody who's listening to this, if you have a passion and you're struggling with resistance, especially creatives, don't give up. Meditation is a great tool for me that helps, like going out in nature, like journaling, just like saying everything that you're feeling, and affirmations, like whatever tools are available, use them towards you so you can get to do what you love, because that's the step, that's the a very important step to of where it's going to lead you to where you want to be in terms of like feeling joy, excitement, and more connected to yourself and to life.
Wow, oh man, that's great wisdom, man. I'm blown away by it. Like I'm highly impressed. Like I didn't know what this conversation would be like today, but like I'm so thankful that I was able to be in this moment right now
Oh, so happy to hear
and be able to
that.
say it. Yeah. So this is great. This is
So
great.
happy to hear that.
Tell yeah.
Me too. You're the one who's inspiring because you're leading this question. So you're helping me to get to that. So we're helping each other here.
Yeah, synchronizing. We're synchronizing. so,
Yeah.
tell us where we can find the music at. So we got a lot of music. We want to be able to find it and be able to rock out to it.
What? Sorry.
Where can we find the music?
Oh, where'd you find my music? Hey, so you can find me on Spotify under Soy Rah.
Mhm.
You can find me on Deezer, YouTube Music, um, Pandora, Apple Music, iTunes. I'm everywhere. Easy. Just
Okay.
type Soy Rah. On Instagram, also Soy Rah _OFC. I'm also joining Patreon now. That's a new project, which I'm really excited. I want to make Patreon of this like one place where everybody will get to see my life as if in a big brother. So I want to share everything about like my inner world. I'm basically gonna expose on my Patreon, in a way that perhaps teenagers, adults can find things that that are also going through and find how they can overcome or even like anticipate themselves of like
Mhm.
not allowing themselves to go through certain things since I'm going to be exposing them that and I'm really excited. So Patreon, I'm under Soy Rah on Patreon.
Okay. And then you mentioned do you have Instagram and a Facebook business page or anything like that?
Instagram, yes, Soy Rah underscore OFC.
Okay, excellent. So we will have for those who are watching this and those who's going to get a chance to listen to playback or all that good stuff, we will have links, direct links to be able to like play the music, have access to follow Soy Rah on her on her journey and continue to like support her in all her efforts. Over here at WTLV, this broadcast Transforming Radio. We will continue to support her as well. Expect to hear some of her music too in rotation in the future here, near future coming up. So with that being said, just hold the line real briefly. I'm gonna close the show out real quick. And as a call to action to all of you guys, make sure you do check out Soy Rah music. Make sure you follow her. Make sure you continue to like support the efforts of this podcast by sharing it with someone you know, someone you don't know, as that does help to further the message as well. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment too. The usual. Until
Yes,
next
please.
time. Until next
Till
time,
next
ladies and
time.
gentlemen.
Thank you, everybody. Thank
Yeah.
you.
1 second here. We're gonna run the outro, and then we'll chat on the other side.
Whoa.